Yeah, I've been lucky to know, I guess most of them in some way before they came here. Colo, I'd run into a few times. He coached my brother a long time ago. Dewey I played with, so there's a relationship there. Luke Webster I played with at Fremantle, obviously a relationship there. Reaver, never really crossed paths. He went to North Adelaide after I coached there, but I'd met him and heard a lot about him. Spoke to a lot of players that he'd been coached by him. So that was the start of me pulling it together and then getting those guys into the building. But we had Nick Hayward, who's our leadership and culture consultant. He came in, spent a few days with us right at the start. Felt like we'd been together for a while. All really honest coaches and good people. I think they're really good at their job. So, so far so good. We've come together, we work well together. There's been no pressure off game day, but I've got a lot of trust in us as a coaching group that we'll bring it together. Yeah. Well, that's the balance right now with what we're delivering to the playing group. There's, it's all new information. So it's slow and steady. The hard thing is, you want to be ready for round one, but at the same time, you want the players to really understand the way that we want to play. So I'm not rushing with it. I'm being very careful with the introduction of the game plan and making sure we get a good understanding. When we do deliver something, it's a bit of an information dump, and then we keep coming back to it to teach them the right way. Now, there's going to be there's different stages of it. Right now in pre-season, we train and play against ourselves, and then as we get into the season and transfer into the home and away season, it can look a little bit different with different challenges with the way opposition play. So I'm looking forward to that, because then that's more education for the players and how that works with our game plan to how it doesn't work. I think there's certain elements of, I guess, the way that I picture the game. I think as coaches, you always have this picture in your head on the way the game should be played, and I guess you use your imagination sometimes. So yeah, there's definitely elements of the way that the game plan, from my experiences as a player to what the game is like these days, to the way it's played and what you see and what you coach against. So it's a combination of a lot of things with the game plan, as well as the assistant coaches making my ideas a lot better and bringing their own ideas to the game plan. So my influence as a player to what I coach now, there's certain elements of it, but as you said, the game has changed a lot. But I guess the fundamentals are still the same. Yeah, well, I think Hornets, he's still young in terms of AFL football and what that looks like. And yeah, I think the ceiling, there is no ceiling for where he can go and where he can go with his footy. He's still learning a lot about the game and learning a lot about himself to get the best out of himself. So I don't know what the best looks like, but his best is pretty good. It's probably more about being more consistent as a player. Yeah, working with Cripper, we wanted to, obviously the wings have been an area for us that we still haven't quite nailed with the players. Obviously, Jace Burgoyne's been one that's really held one of those wing positions through the year, and Boki was probably the other that in and out of the last 2 to 3 years probably held that other wing position. So, and we brought in Jacob to fill a role there. Will Brodie, a big mid. Ollie's the other big mid that we got. So there's depth in that position, there's competition in that position, obviously with Miles there as well and Drewy. So it's just about, one, creating competition, creating some depth in those areas. Obviously Jack Watkins also came onto the list from the Magpies, who's been elite at SNFL level, makes our standards and culture better. We've spoken publicly about, I guess, the strategy around last year's draft to what next year's draft looks like. For me as a coach, I just think it's great that I get eyes on the whole of the list, what that looks like, without saying that we don't improve, because I think there's a lot of improvement left in the list that we've got. But those guys come in and make us better. Yeah, I think Corey's he hasn't been a bit surprised because I've seen some of his really good games, but so far in the pre-season he's been very, very good. He's quite dynamic in the forward 50. He's a really smart player, and I think he'll add some really good firepower up forward for us. I'm looking forward to Miles spending more time on ball and playing, I guess, a more solid midfield role. It doesn't mean we won't use him back at times, but I just think for what we need as a team, he's great defensively. I think he's got great power to go forward, and I think he can be an asset out of the goal square, a little bit like Jace, Horne-Francis. So I can see those guys working well together. I think he's got great weapons, and obviously he's got a big kick on him and get the ball inside 50. So looking forward to seeing that evolve. I guess my mum was always massive on family, and she just loved having us as kids around all the time, and then the start of the grandkids as well. Now mum passed away, I don't know, 12, 13 years ago now, and so for us as a family, not just me, my brothers and sisters, we've all got a lot of kids. I've got obviously 4, and my brother's got 4, my sister's got 4, and my other sister's got 3. So Christmas is are nuts because they're all around the same age. Lots of fights, lots of laughs, lots of crying, but it just means a lot, when we come together. I don't get those opportunities to go back to Perth a lot, but when I do, that's sort of where the majority of our family are. But then I guess with my immediate family, with the kids, it's just good fun. It's a house full of, as I said, laughing, crying, yelling, but it's just something I always grew up in. And it is hard sometimes. You spend all day here, and you go home, and you got kids that they're young, and they want dad around all the time, and you just got to make sure you got the energy to get back and have a hit of cricket or a kick of the footy, or do whatever the kids, watch a bit of TV with the kids. And when I get home, they don't actually care that what I've done, whether I've won a game of footy or I haven't won. The older ones are starting to get there a little bit, but in some ways, just you walk in the door and it doesn't matter what I've done. One of the kids wouldn't even care that I coached or what I did at Port Adelaide. All he cares is that I'm there for him and have some fun at home. Depends what Carolina's got booked for me. An ideal day off really is just trying to relax and sort of free the mind up as much as you can. Depends on what time of the year it is. It is hard to not think about what's going on from a footy perspective and try and relax. So as much as I can, whether it's going out for lunch with my wife or if the kids are home, hanging out with them and just chilling out. But it's trying to free my mind as much as I can.